Did you know that over 95% of our thoughts are actually driven by old programming? And why is this important, you might ask? Well, this is actually what's directing all of your life. What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Peña. And in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be. Most of us are living on autopilot that is controlling our lives, and we don't even realize it. Did you know that over 95% of our thoughts are actually driven by old programming? And why is this important, you might ask? Well, this is actually what's directing all of your life. The stories that you've been telling yourself since you were a little kid, geared around lack, scarcity, animosity, why you're not able to achieve the goals that you want, or the things that people told you of why you were never going to amount to much, or the reason why you feel like you need to continue to perform in order for you to really attract more abundance into your life. All of these stories that you have that are constantly playing in your head are geared around programming. And here's the sad truth. 95% of these thoughts that are coming from this old programming are not being outdated. We have over 70,000 thoughts in a day. Just think about that for a second. Like, really let that sink in. Over 70,000 thoughts per day. And when you think about that, how many of these thoughts are new and refreshing? How many of these thoughts are actually rooted in scarcity, in lack, in envy toward what other people are achieving versus actually being happy for them? But because internally we have this belief, this underlying belief that is telling us you're not good enough, you could never do that. How do you think people were going to communicate with you the same way that they're communicating with that other person? And how do you think you're going to get that raise when you have all these feelings bottled up inside of you? This is exactly what is keeping you vibrating at the same level that you're in, meaning the same life that you've been living for the past couple of years. And in this episode, I really want to share with you 4 components that are going to help you break free from this reality that you've been co-creating. And I know that if you would have told me the things that I'm going to share with you when I was 19, going through my journey of the dark soul, going through all the turbulence that I was going through, struggling as a single mom, barely making ends meet, looking at my bank account at every single minute to see if I could actually afford to buy my son more food, these conversations would have irritated me. And this is what I'm hoping to ignite in you, because I needed to hear these things. I needed to hear these different perspectives, because what we don't know, we don't know. And when we grow up in a household in which lack is the norm, that is what you attract, that is what you become. And until you actually decide to show up differently for yourself, until you decide that this is no longer going to be the reality that you want to co-create in, it is forever going to continue to manifest into your life. So with that, I'm going to get into the first point that I want to share with you guys. And I do have some notes also that I'm going to share from, you guys know, my favorite author, Mr. Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about his book of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Great read. You know, I'm always talking about becoming supernatural. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm showing my book right now. I love that book, but I read something very interesting that was tied into what we saw at the conference this last time that I was in Cancun. And then I went to the advanced retreat, like I had mentioned to you guys, over in Washington. And I really want to paint this picture for you to help you in associating how you actually get to influence your reality. Because like I said, if you would have told me some of this stuff back when I was going through survival mindsets, I would have not understood it. But thankfully now there's a lot of science that can help you make sense of the craziness that our brain doesn't really comprehend. So let's get into it. The first point that I want to share with you is your thoughts create your reality. And in order to kick this off, I want to read something to you that is really going to help you get a better understanding. Now, let's go ahead and look into where does the intelligence that keep our heart beating come from? Well, that's the part of the autonomic nervous system. Now, let's go ahead and talk about where is the autonomic nervous system located? Well, the brain actually is where you're going to see this. The brain's lymphatic system is part of the autonomic nervous system. And with the brain, are there specific tissues that are responsible for keeping the heart beating? Yes. What are those tissues made of? Cells. Now, what are those cells made out of? Molecules. What are those molecules made out of? Atoms. And what are those atoms made of? Subatomic particles. And what are those subatomic particles primarily composed of? Drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. Energy. And I love how this is broken down because it really helps you understand that when people talk about your thoughts creating your reality, a lot of people sometimes think that it's woo-woo, that it's craziness, that there's no way that what I'm thinking is going to actually create my reality. Science is backing this up. I personally, I'm more of an in-tune person. If I believe that something in my body, in my divine soul is telling me, hey, listen to this message, the person comes with good intentions, there's something you can learn from this, I resonate with it. But I know there's a lot of people out there that they need more science, they need more evidence. And this is where it's really going to help you get better understandings of where neuroscience actually gets the backup credits to say, hey, you are actually energy. Like, these are studies that you can go and look up for yourself. I'm not going to geek out about that because personally, I think that the most important parts for me is understanding that my thoughts create this electromagnetic frequency. That is all I need. And when you think about it, it's like tuning into wanting to hear some cumbias, but at the same time, you're actually tuning into heavy metal. The two stations are not going to align. You're tuning into cumbias at the same time, you're actually playing the different station, which is tapping into metal. How are you ever going to actually listen this other station that you're actually trying to listen to? It's the exact same thing when it comes to your reality. And this is my point number 2. When you can understand that you need to shift out of survival. In order for you to really shift out of survival, you need to understand why you're in survival to begin with. This is what I teach you guys in my 12 Laws of Manifesting course. And I really want to preface, like, this course, I made it with you guys in mind because I wish I would have had this blueprint when I first got started in my journey of just trying to create more financial freedom. There was a lot of things that I did in my journey that I didn't realize that I was still self-sabotaging. And it was because I was still in survival mode. It was because I was still performing from scarcity. I was still performing from the old story that I had been conditioned through. And when you can shift and start actually being in the ever-present moment, this is where your entire vibration starts realkalizing. It starts transmuting into a different vibration. My step number 3 here. And this is why when you're trying to become supernatural, you need to start practicing more mind-heart connection. You see, a lot of us are so analytical, right? We're always thinking about, wait, well, what if this happens? Then I can't do X. I can't do Y because X hasn't happened. Time is not linear. Time is multidimensional. And when we can understand that everything is happening in the everlasting now, we can bring our coherence back to the moment that is now versus focusing on survival, which is living in the past and living in the future. We can't create from that. We need to be present. Think about it. This is why I cut out a lot of people from my life, because there's a lot of people that are constantly talking about their past. Like, they're always talking about their past. They're always talking about, yeah, do you remember when we used to go party and we did this, girl, and we did that, and oh my gosh, girl, it was such a great time. They're always talking about the past. But I'm sitting here like, why aren't we creating like new memories like now? Like, why are we still talking about the past? Like, let's talk about, going on a girls trip together. Let's talk about, learning a new skill together. Let's talk about building something. But yet most of us are always talking about the past, or we're talking about the future. We're talking about what we would like to have, what we would like to receive, what we would like to attract into our life. But here's the thing, when you're not consciously embodying the everlasting now that we have, you are always attracting more lack into your life. And why this is important is because if you're looking to create a brand new reality for yourself, you need to understand that your thoughts do create your reality. You need to understand that you need to get out of survival mode, and you need to start understanding that the only way you can get into a better vibration other than survival mode is by practicing gratitude, wholeness, integration. You see, there's a lot of people that go to spiritual retreats like ayahuasca, and they go to all these retreats geared around shamanism and healing and ancestral wounds and all of these great things. I'm not shaming on them. I know what it's like to go through these things. But here's the thing. You need to learn how to integrate every single thing that you're learning. What's the good in you going and finding out that we're all one and that we're all love and that we're all connected, but yet you leave and you're still treating people like shit. You're still talking bad about the girl that walked before you and didn't leave the door open, or you're judging the girl that looks a certain way because they don't look exactly like your ideal of perfect, or you're judging the guy just because they threw their shot at you and you're calling them names when they were just actually approaching you with good energy because they actually felt attracted to you. There's so many things that when you can understand, the way you treat others is what you're going to attract. I'm going to share with you a quick story. I was recently, I'm saying it in Spanish, I'm trying to bring it up in English, but essentially they were trying to extort me. What this person did, I hired her. She was going to be a VA for a while. For those of you that have been on the journey since 2023, you know that I have a lot of assistants, and a lot of these assistants that I have are virtual assistants because I really don't need somebody by my side. I do a lot of stuff online, a lot of admin, a lot of content creation, a lot of follow-up. So a lot of the stuff that I need is online, okay? Just to give you a little background story there. And one of my last assistants that have been with me for a while, essentially she ended up transitioning into like a freelancer. So she works with me more like on the social media management, which has really been helping, but I still needed somebody on my admin, right? So, and if you're watching this, if you're part of the WM community and you're interested in working with me, send me a message. I would love nothing more than to have another person that's part of the community have the opportunity of like making some extra money alongside with me. I think that is just so amazing. I personally would prefer to keep it in the community because I know we're in alignment, but that's a whole other another sidebar there. I just wanted to throw that out there. But essentially I ended up hiring this girl. I had her for a whole 7 days, and I had been very clear with her. I told her, hey, you're going to be in a probation period. You're going to be just for the first 3 months, it's a probation period, and if everything, like, I'm still going to pay you, okay? But after the 3 months, if you do good, I'm going to increase your salary, so you're going to have more benefits. But to start off with, this is what you're going to start off with. This is going to be your hourly rate and so forth. So she was on board with that. And day 2 comes around. I'm asking her questions about the trainings, and it looks like she's not really watching these trainings because there's things that I would have expected her to have the answer to, but she didn't. Then day 3 comes around, same thing. Day 4 comes around, same thing. At the last day, day 7, where I'm really like contemplating like, okay, you know what? I don't think this person is actually serious about this position that I'm giving her, because if she was, she would be taking the time to learn what she's telling me she's taking the time to learn. And I'm very flexible with the people that work with me because I believe that trust is the one thing that I am not going to negotiate with. If I can't trust you, we can't be together. And for this situation, I always tell them like, hey, at the beginning, like, I'm going to give you free range. I'm going to trust that you're doing the work that you need to do. But if I start seeing that you're not finishing, then I'm going to put you into one of the time management trackers that I have to really see what you're doing throughout the day. So to make the long story short, this person, when I get the feeling that she's lying to me about the trainings that she's doing, because she's literally telling me that she is not understanding some of the things that were pretty simple. Like, I'm talking about sending emails type simple, okay? Like pretty standard. And she had a whole 7 days to really understand this. And I understand that everybody's learning ways are different, but I know that I gave her all the tools that she needed to succeed in that specific task that I gave her. Like, I didn't even overwhelm her with more tasks because I was like, no, I've done that before. I'm just going to focus on one particular task until she masters that, and then I'll move her into something else. Because again, I've learned from my mistakes as well, right? right, as a leader. As the 7th day comes around, it's crazy how God is always talking to us, but sometimes we're not listening. Thankfully, this day I was 100% in tune with my energy, and I essentially get on a call with her, and I find out that she is lying to me because she hadn't really watched the videos. When I'm asking her questions, she didn't have answers. So she had access to my Facebook by this point, and I basically asked her to log out, that I was going to like reset some stuff, and she goes ahead, logs out. Thankfully, I changed the password and everything, and then I tell her, I was like, okay, look, I'm going to give you until this time to like focus on some of the things, and then after, if like you're done, like good, we'll move on to the next task. 4 hours passed by. She was supposed to have finished what takes me like literally 15 minutes to finish, and she still wasn't done. So I was like, yeah, she's lying to me. Like, there's no way that she's not done with this item. So I told her, I was like, look, you know what? I'm sorry, but this is not working out for me. I'm going to pay you the amount that I owe you, and you know, I wish you the best. So she essentially starts begging me and telling me no, that you know, she really needed the job, which I feel for her. Like, if you know me, you know that those words like really hurt me because I wanted to help everybody. But as my coach said, you cannot help anybody if you don't help yourself. So I know that I have certain things that I need to complete in order for me to keep moving the needle in my business, which keeps, you know, food and clothes on my kids' back and mine, and allows me to continue to grow. So I said, you know what, I can't take care of anybody that's not willing to look out for me. So I said, you know what, I'm sorry, but this decision is final. Well, a few minutes after I had basically sent her the payment, she starts telling me that I should pay her more, which I like, just think about this for a second. Like, for 7 days, she did nothing other than literally log in to learn new skills that I was teaching her. And I still paid her what she was supposed to get since the beginning that we had already talked about. But yet she goes on to ask for more. And I was like, no, girl, like, this is what it is. This is what we had talked about. Like, that's it. Well, at this point, she's like going back and forth, like sending me messages, telling me that that's not correct. And I'm not about to like sit there and like argue with her, going back and forth. I send a message. I told her, like, this is what you work, this is what you got paid, and this is what it is. Well, when I start seeing that she's like blowing up my phone, I'm like at an event. So I get really like annoyed by this. So I block her, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna block her. Like, I already made her payment. Like, I'm good. This is how God works in mysterious ways, guys. I end up getting a message from this like random guy telling me, hey, Miss Alexa, I just want to look out for you and let you know that somebody is talking negatively about you in a community, which is like for hiring online assistants. And I see the comment, and I was like in disbelief, right? I was like, I can't believe this girl is literally shit talking me right now when I literally looked out for her. I gave her the opportunity, and yet like, this is what you're doing. So I end up going in and blocking her, and I tell her, hey, what you're doing is in breach of the contract that you signed, because I have all of my assistants sign an NDA because I have personal information from my clients. So I always say you're not able to go and talk negatively about anything that, you know, you have worked with me through. And again, like, I have proof of everything that at this point I had done for this girl and everything that she had done. Like, there was nothing that she could prove that she had completed for me. And I'm getting to a point here, okay? And I really wanted to preface this with a story because I think you'll appreciate it. As this is all going on, she basically texts me back and says, if you pay me more money, I will stop. And I was like, this is extortion. Like, what you're doing right now, I have the proof that you are extorting me right now. I could take legal action against you. Well, after her, I guess, calming down from her energy, she ends up telling me that she was sorry and that she was gonna take it down. But by this point, I had already had like 10 people from the Philippines basically like back her up because they had seen obviously one side of the story, and they had comment on like some of my videos and said like, oh, you talk about manifesting, but yet this is what you're doing to this person. And in that moment, guys, there's two things that I learned. There's a few more, but the main things. The first one is that how crazy is it that sometimes we just judge people based off one story, right? Like, we always are so quick to judge based off one side of the story, but yet we don't know the full story. Like, these people, like, they're in their mind, they're backing this up, they're backing this girl up because they feel like this girl was taken advantage of based off the fact that she put this big thing saying scammer, even though like I had paid her. Which the funny part was that all the people, because she put my number like on blast basically there, and all the people that had seen the post, excluding the ones that obviously were backing her up, actually sent me messages like, hey, I would love that hourly pay, can I please work for you? And I was like, this just goes to show again, like, some people are never going to appreciate nothing and other people are always going to be so appreciative. That's a whole other sidebar too. But as this happens, right, these people that are sending me these messages, I was going to sit there and like reply back, and then I remembered the teachings and I was like, you know what, Alexa, you're not going to react. Your reaction in this moment is simply the only thing you can cover. Like it's the only thing that you can actually control. You have no control over her. You have no control over these people. You have no control over how they're going to perceive the information. All you can control is you. And I'm telling you, I feel that in that moment when I shifted my energy, that is when she ended up replying and telling me she was going to take it down. And the second lesson that I learned is that at the end of the day, you really do need to treat everybody the way you would want to be treated. I'm telling you, part of me really wanted to take legal action against her, but the other part of me was like, this girl is struggling and she's like barely able to make ends meet because she's clearly telling me, like, she's trying to extort me for more money. Like, clearly this girl is in a bad spot. Like, I remember when I was in a bad spot, and I let it go. I let it go not because I would ever allow somebody else to do this to me, but because I learned my lesson in terms of, again, making sure that I am very strict on the boundaries that I have around the people and that I'm going to allow into my business, my life, my journey. And it also was a big reminder on the fact that, again, God is always watching, God is always listening. And I do want to preface the fact that when we send out bad energy, that energy always comes back to us. That energy is always going to come back. So for me, I would never do something to somebody that I wouldn't want them to do to me. And I would never allow somebody else to do something to me that I would never do to them. So I know a lot of my people that I was talking to, acquaintances, that were like, you should take legal action. Like, this is unacceptable. That's not right. And I said, you know what? Like, the first one's free. Like, I'm going to let it go because I'm really going to take this higher road. But I know that moving forward, I want to remind you that just because you're practicing this energy doesn't mean you allow anybody to treat you in a way that you would never treat them. And when you're getting out of survival mode, you are going to detach from the fact that maybe you're going to take it personal, because in that moment, I could have taken it more personal. I could have made it about me. I could have said, like, this is why, you know, it's never going to work out for me. This is why I should not be an entrepreneur. This is why X, Y, and Z. But in that moment, I chose to focus on all the good and all the love and watch how everything changed for me, which leads me to my fourth point for you. Create a new identity. Create an identity that is geared around empowerment. An identity that is geared around alignment, around you already being that vibration. How would you act if you already had the $1 trillion company? How would you act if you already had the clients and the book deals and the podcast and the, I don't know, maybe you like to cook, the TV show for you to cook? Like, how would you embody that energy? And how would you treat all of those that are around you? Because remember, every single person is a reflection of ourselves. And I want to read something to you that I wrote here, which says, you are not broken, you're programmed. When you become conscious of the program, you can rewrite it. You are not your past, you are the creator of your future. So just remember, as the week goes on, remember that you are a powerful co-creator and you can absolutely manifest anything you desire. You just have to show up. And if you liked any of the content that we talked about, check the links down below. We have a free community for you guys to join. We talk about manifestation, mindset shifts, everything to really help you create that new reality. Because remember, we're the average of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with. And if you're like me, when I first got started in my journey, I didn't have the best role models. I had to go and find my role models. I had to go and find actually the people that I wanted to learn from. And most of them were online until I could actually start affording to invest in coaches and until I could actually start investing in higher things that were allowing me to really get one-on-one access to these teachings. But until then, tap into the free resources that we have for you, because this is my life's mission. I want to help everybody really understand how powerful we are and how amazing we are, all of us in our own unique way. And if nobody has told you, I love you, and I will talk to you guys on the next one.